Alright, so turns out trying to be nice doesn't get you anywhere. I'll just give you a quick rundown about the whole thing. Okay, I got the shipping container, and that started the big shit storm. We called the bylaw guy. He would come, tell me, you can't sell tractors on your front lawn. Tidy lawn, bylaw, this and that. Okay, so we'd get rid of those. We put them away. I sell them for next to nothing, just to get rid of them. Get rid of all my tractors. I got like a few left, romping tractors, whatever. But so he comes back, takes some pictures, says everything's cool. So we continue on, business as usual, and then 3 days later he comes back again saying, well, you can't do this and you can't do that, and blah, 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 and, so we deal with that. He comes back the next day, takes some pictures, says we're good. Same thing a few more times, at least 5 times in the last 2 months. So that didn't get him anywhere. So then they started coming on to me about the building inspector. About my garage. Apparently he couldn't find the building permit. So I said, well, you better look again, bud. I didn't hear anything for a few days, so I called him back, and he says, oh yeah, I found it, everything's good. I'm like, alright, you know what I mean? So then I don't hear anything. Bylaw guy comes back a few more times, and then all of a sudden I get the letter I showed you last video in the mail about all, basically. Well, and they send it to my mortgage company, like, what do they have to do? Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? That's not cool. No reason for that. I called you back right away when you left the card in the door about not knowing about the building permit. So why wouldn't I call you back right away if you left another card in my door? You know what I mean? We could have talked about it, but no. So the last time he came, he didn't want us to film him or whatever, so I didn't, and that was a mistake. Because 2 guys standing right beside each other from the same office, asking them both a question at the same time. One guy says yes, the other guy says no. And then, oh, well, blah, 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 and then they're sort of stumbling all over themselves. But so he came, and he told me what he wanted, and I said, I'll get rid of the one shed and the shipping container, and I'll do the stairs. Not even an issue. You want that done, that's done. But I want to keep the one shed. That's always been here. And when I talked to the one guy the day before, he says, oh yeah, that sounds more than reasonable. You know what I mean? We want to work with you. We don't want to, we're not here to muscle anybody out of anything or whatever. And, I says, you want to fuck me over 100%, I'll give you 66% of fucked overness. And let me keep 33%, you know what I mean? Sort of thing. But and the one guy said, oh, that sounds totally reasonable. We'll come by tomorrow, we'll talk about it, make sure we're on the same page, and there you go. Okay. So then they come over, but he doesn't want to be filmed, and then he just starts beaking right off about, I told him about keeping the one shed and getting rid of the 2 and doing the stairs, and that's not an issue. Nope, got to get rid of all 3 sheds, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and this little bit of an overhang on the back of your garage, you're going to have to cut that off, and blah, 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 and this and that, and yada, 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 and just going on and on and on. And if you want to keep the one shed, you're going to have to pay $400 for a variance, and then they still might tell you no, and blah, 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 and just totally losing his mind. And I'm just like, just standing there, just thinking to myself, is this really happening? You know what I mean? But, so then, I'm shuffling him out to the road like, okay, bye, you know what I mean? And then he's like, oh, and what about this driveway? I didn't see a permit for this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, dude, you didn't see a permit for the shop either. Maybe try looking wherever it was you found that, and you know what I mean? You might stumble across and then the guy says, well, this isn't in the books as a duplex and blah, blah. It's like, okay, listen, dude, when I bought the house, it was a duplex. I had to put 7.5% down instead of 5% because it's an income property. You know what I mean? The friggin' all the shit came here. It was all inspected. I had to put drywall on the ceiling in the basement, so the main entrance where both the antlers are is sort of, if it's got like a 2-hour fire burn minimum, this and that, fire doors, the whole bit, fire extinguishers. It's all good. You know what I mean? But apparently they have to apply for this and that now all of a sudden. I mean, the place has been a duplex since 1965, so that's the sort, you know what I mean? I'm not sure if you need much more than a grade 6 education to work for the city, but, I'm starting to think that, You don't. But anyway, so a couple days ago, he comes back with this inspection report, and it is basically an agreement. He wrote up an agreement, what we agreed to when he came to see me. He says, site meeting report, in attendance, homeowner, homeowner's girlfriend, homeowner's male friend, and then Jeff, the chief building official, and Wade, the building inspector, property standards officer. The meeting started out with myself indicating to Mr. Whitcroft and his male friend that I did not want to be videotaped. They both stated that they would not. We then went over the zoning order and the property standards order. After discussing on what the orders required, the following was agreed to. I don't remember that. I was right here the whole time too, but a building permit would be applied for the landing stairs leading to the rear portion of the house. This would be done by June 11, 2010. Other option was to remove the door and fill in the opening. Both options would satisfy the property standards order. That's not an issue. I told him I'd do the stairs. Don't even worry about it. Consider it done. But I got to figure out what's going on with all the stuff in the back. So if I block off 2/3 of the back of my freaking driveway, I'm not going to be able to get anything out. So number two, a application, not an application. So again, the grade 6 thing again. For a minor variance would be applied for by June 11th. This minor variance would be so the owner may leave one shed. The other sheds would be removed as soon as possible. 3. The storage container in rear yard would be moved. The homeowner indicated that he has spoken to a friend who has a commercial property where he can move the container. The container needs to be moved by June 21st, 2010. Number 4. The lot will be cleaned up of tractor and vehicle parts so that they are not visible in backyard. This is to be done by June 21st, 2010. Section 4.2.6.3 of zoning bylaw 50-88, number 5, the no parking lot. And this is just out of the blue too. He wanted me to sign this. He came to my house, wanted me to sign this. And the only, he said something about the building permit or whatever for the driveway when he was here, but he never said we agreed to anything. So no parking lot, parking space, or residential driveway shall be located or used within a front yard if the area of all driveways, parking spaces, and parking lots in such yard exceeds 50% of the area of such yard. The existing and new driveway exceed the minimums, MINDIMUMS, requirements. The existing and new driveway exceeds the minimums requirements. Here, let me get my pen. I'll sign that right now. So, okay, hold on. I'm gonna go to his house, and I wrote up my own little agreement. We agreed to when he was here. Okay, to the city dick. Okay, on our last visit, we agreed you would fuck your mouth, and you would have this done by June 11th, 2010, or you will have to cough up all kinds of dough, buds. And then I got a little spot for the city dick to sign, and then I got a spot for me to sign, and I got a spot for breathing another mic to sign. So we're going to show up at his house, out of the friggin' blue, and see how he likes it. Just make up some horse shit and see if he wants to sign it. You know what I mean? Just make up some random horse shit and then come to his friggin' house, and just fuck his day over. You know what I mean? Telling him, you didn't get a permit for your... You know what, dude? You're right. I didn't get a permit for my driveway. I had this gigantic, huge truck with a saw come over and cut a part of the curb away and stuff, and then did all this and that, you know what I mean, and had to tore up the city sidewalk because there wasn't a driveway there, and by building code, you have to put wire in the city sidewalk where a driveway's going to be. So you can tell that part's been replaced and everything else, and I got tons of pictures of all the stuff I've done to the house. At that time, I wasn't doing video, but there's plenty of pictures, and I have the permit, and I even have the little piece of concrete I have from the former owner who owned the house beside me before, all the written, mapped out little this and that of the concrete that's actually on their property, but it's all, you bought the house with this existing agreement in place, so, it's my driveway, bud.